The information provided is not a substitute for legal and other professional advice where the facts and circumstances warrant. People should always consult their own legal or other professional advisors and discuss the facts and circumstances that apply to their specific circumstances. The information shared on Ask the Landlord is for educational purposes only.
Hello, everyone, and we're back with another episode of Ask the Landlord with our favorite landlord, Albert Dweck. I'm Melissa. I'm one of Albert's producers, and I'm a former New York City, Pittsburgh, Lafayette, Louisiana, Washington, D.C. renter, and now a Pittsburgh homeowner. And together, we're going to be asking this landlord some questions. If you want to ask a question on the podcast, call us and leave us a voicemail on the Ask the Landlord hotline. That number is 646-580-3015. How's it going, Albert?
It's going good, Melissa. How you doing?
I'm great. So busy, always something to do, but it's fun and we like it.
Awesome.
So, all right. The question today is, what are some of the biggest costs that someone could incur as a condo owner? And how would that different than a homeowner?
So I guess let's start with a condo. A condo, usually the condo owner is responsible for the walls in, meaning the inside of the walls into the apartment or the unit.
Okay.
So if whatever happens from the walls in and the floors and the ceilings in, then that's what the condo owner is usually responsible for. So if something happens from behind the wall, it's usually the condo association or somebody else, right? That's responsible. That doesn't mean that obviously if something happens, you can make a claim to your insurance company or that. But there's certainly special insurance that's a little different as a condo owner. There's also, like we said, as you could have homeowners insurance that's covers your contents. You should have extra insurance that covers your contents. In a condo, it's a little different than having your house. In your house, obviously, everything's yours, and usually everything's covered under your policy, including your contents. But if something happens to the house outside, it's your problem. Like you have that. In the condo, usually, if something happens to the roof of the condo, of the building, it's your problem, but it's not your direct problem, right? Somebody's taking care of that. Like there's a condo association, usually a management company or somebody that you're a part of a community. So those are, things to be aware of. There are different, it's like, how does it work? And you should read your condo documents or your co-op documents. Usually it's like, what am I responsible for? And it tells you usually it's the walls in. And then you say which part of the wall, like, the wall, the outer wall, the inner wall, those things are questions. And then there are ways to think about them too outside of insurance. It's, with your house as an example, there are components of the house and you might think, oh, how much is a new roof? If I had to put a new roof on my house, a whole new roof, say, I don't know, I'm going to make up a number. Let's say $20,000. You say, okay, $20,000, and you just moved into your house, and you're like, but the roof was there already, and it has like 20. I'm using 20 years, but a lot of roofs are 20 or 30 years when they're new. Brand new roof is, let's say, 20-year warranty, right? When you put a new roof on, it's $20,000, right? And let's say your roof you bought the house and the roof is 10 years old. So you're like, in 10 years from now, you're probably going to have to put a new roof. And that's going to cost $20,000 adjusted for inflation. So it's probably $30,000. Right? Inflation as average is 3%. And you essentially, it goes 50% every 12 years. So if you do that, math, compounded. So basically, you need $30,000 in 10 years from now to be able to replace your roof when it goes. But, it doesn't necessarily go in 10 years. It could go in 8 years, 5 years. It could go in 20 years, right? But the way to start thinking about that is say, well, in my budget of my savings, I'm going to allocate however the remaining useful years of my roof is divided by what it takes to pay for a new roof at that time. So I said 30,000, I said 20,000 today, right? But 30,000 in 10 years from now. So really 10 years, for the next 10 years, I have to make sure I have 30,000 in 10 years. So I have to make $3,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good. I like looking at it that way.
One way to think about it. So then you say,
Yeah, that's
okay,
a good.
what else is like that? Right? So you say,
Right.
"Oh, my boiler is this and that and that," and then you go, "Okay, what about the electric, the pipes, the windows?" So then you can go through the whole house and you say, "Okay, I'm going to allocate, $5,000 a year for repairs and replacements."
Mm-hmm. So you're saying this is a homeowner, not a condo owner. Like if you're in an
Either way,
apartment,
it's also
you think
a
it's
condo
the same?
owner. Yeah. So the condo owner would have an oven, right?
Right.
So
Appliances.
the oven came with the condo, but it's once you buy the condo, really the oven is yours to handle. Or let's say refrigerator, sub zero, whatever, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, $5,000 these days, right?
Yeah.
So you go,
Fancy.
okay, so how good? So you bought it. It's a beautiful fridge. You're like, oh, it's going to go in 5 years from now, and I got to buy a new one, and it's $5,000. And you're like, okay, so I should set aside about $1,000 a year for that. So we call it replacement reserve. So when we look at as a landlord operating a building, let's say, right, we go, okay, you know, there's everyday repairs and maintenance,
Wow.
right? Which is a line item budget, meaning you're paying
Mm-hmm.
your insurance, you're paying your taxes, you're paying your utilities. They happen all the time, right? And then something needs an adjustment, something's leaking, you fix it. Those are repairs and maintenance, and you broke something, repairs and maintenance, right? But then, your oven is 50 years old and you love it. It's an antique and it works really well. But then one day it's going to go kaput. You're like, oh, that's something I
Right.
have to replace one day. So I better
Mm-hmm.
practically plan for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you got to set
Yeah.
aside money because you'll know that you'll need it one day. And by the way,
Of
sometimes things just break and you have to replace them anyway. I was thinking about this also when you this morning, and I wanted to talk to you about it. But now that you're a renter, now that you're an owner, right? And I'm gonna say, have you considered a home warranty program?
Okay, great question. I love the tables turned. So the house came with a 1 year home warranty that was I didn't even I think it was like a gimmick to like as a selling point for the house. Like the previous sellers provided it, right?
It's
They is it and then so then I had the realtor told me a lady to call to be like she'll tell you what to say, what not to say and what that. So nothing's happened yet, but we are going to call about a dishwasher in a little. But why do
meaning
you
that the
ask?
dishwasher's broken,
It's not broken, it's just it's acting weird. I don't think it's working properly. It works,
right?
but I don't know.
Right.
It's
No, I
free, why
asked
not?
because
It came with the house.
I asked because you know I mentioned all these things about having a certain replacement reserve for
Mhm.
things like that, but there's also insurance you could buy that could cover you for those things. That's another way to deal with it. You're either way, you're going to have to save the money or invest the money to be protected.
Mhm.
One way people do it is saving the money, which means I'm going to say self-insuring, right? That's
Mhm.
self-insuring, saving the money.
Right.
Or you could actually give the money to an insurance company, which are these home warranty companies, and they cover those things as long as you pay
Are
them.
you a fan? Are you a fan of home warranty companies?
I depending on which ones, but I happen to be. I've used them in the past, um,
Okay,
and I thought it
good.
was effective. They have their protocols, and as long as it's like any insurance, I guess you got to make sure that you're what kind of stuff they bring in, or if you want a certain brand, make sure that brand is covered or whatever. But, I found it to be a good thing to have. If you have an older house and you can anticipate things being needed to be replaced, it could be a big deal
Oh,
to
absolutely.
use. I would say, like anything, shop around, make sure you get the right company. But I think they could be very useful. And also I found is that toilet, right? And this is, some of this is a do-it-yourself thing or not, but a toilet, most of the problems with the toilet happens when the flapper needs to be replaced, and that's like a $2 piece, right? So you and Alan should
Okay.
look it up online and like learn how to do
I
that,
will.
right? But
Oh, absolutely.
me, I don't do that. I call the guy, you
Right.
know. But the insurance company, like they would send, there's a deductible and everything. Like I think it's like $50, but the plumber who comes might be charging you $200, but you're only paying $50 if you use the warranty program. So you know those are interesting trade-offs that you might consider. Like I had when I was when I had originally bought houses and rented them to people, I had a warranty program, and I would give the number of the warranty program to the residents, and I told them, listen, you call these people and they'll come, and I'll reimburse you for the, whatever the co-payment, yeah.
That's nice. Yeah. That's a great solution.
If I was you and Alan, I would look into that.
Definitely. No, I mean, we have it with the house right now. So why not use it?
We
We have it for a year.
after a year, right? I guess it's a way to test out these people if you like them,
Right.
and then it's
Oh, then
good.
you would say do it every year, renew it every
Oh,
year?
that's what I'm talking about.
Ew, I thought it
Meaning,
was just the first
yeah,
year.
yeah, but you have a boiler over there, or however you're heating the
Yes.
house. What happens after the first year? After the first year, you have to set aside money every year to either pay for the boiler, or you have to have some story about how you're going to fix it if it breaks. So one of the ways you could do that is to have an insurance policy.
That's true. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it. Hopefully we like them. We'll use them this first year, this home warranty. Um, but yeah, I think this is definitely bringing up another conversation. Maybe we'll do a part 2 about money and you mentioned a few things like the roof, but I think in another episode we're going to elaborate on what exactly you need for what could be the biggest costs that would happen and emergency funds that you really need before you even, buy a house, buy a condo, right? There's a lot we could talk about. All right. Thank you so much, Albert.
You got it.
For more episodes, please subscribe to Ask the Landlord on your favorite podcast platform. We'd appreciate it if you left a review on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to watch the show, check out our Ask the Landlord YouTube channel. If you have a question for Albert, feel free to contact him on Instagram at @AskTheLandlord and check out his TikTok at @AskTheLandlord. Bridging the gap between landlords and tenants, this has been Ask the Landlord. Thanks for listening.